Hi there, I'm Carla Cannon, and I wanted to give you an inside peek into what we've been using this year for copywork and dictation. I'm a big fan of copywork and dictation. I think it's one of the key things you can do with your child, especially in the early elementary years and even continuing on. So I didn't need to be sold on the value of that, but what we were struggling a little bit with was consistency. And so this year we used Spelling UC, and we had a fantastic year. I'm so excited about this program. And so I just want to talk a little bit about it and then give you a peek into 3 different levels. I have, because I've done it with all 3 of my children who are currently kindergarten, going into grade 3, and going into grade 6. We just wrapped up their 2nd and 5th grade years, and so these are the different levels we used, and so I'll give you a peek into each one of those and how they worked for us. So copywork and dictation is very foundational, especially in Charlotte Mason circles. Brave Writer talks a lot about it, and so the only thing that sometimes people struggle with is, first of all, what do their children copy and where do they get it from? And Spelling UC has really taken all those questions away. And so what it is it has copywork passages built into it, and also then at the end of the week you do dictation. So I think that's fantastic. I think you can use copywork for anything, and I think it's wonderful to use a wide variety of copywork. But in reality, in a busy day-to-day homeschool life, if you as the mom have to go out and find something, and for little kids, write it out so they can write underneath you, the chances are you're going to do it less often. And so this has worked really well for us, because the more things that I have at my fingertips ready to go that I don't have to make a decision about and that my children can do independently, it's going to happen so much more consistently than anything else. And so that's why it's worked really well for us. Could you use anything for copywork? Sure, but the convenience of this is fabulous. So I'm going to start off with the level A, and we just started this. My daughter just turned 5, so technically she's not even kindergarten until the fall, but she's pretty gung-ho being the 3rd child, and she wants to do her schoolwork. So I got her the level A, and I want to note that for the Spelling UC, you must purchase the teacher books. That is not an option for these ones. So I do, there's lots of things that I don't get the teacher manuals for, but for these ones, you definitely need it because there's good information in them, and you also need the dictation lists. So, and I did purchase these from christianbooks.com. That was good, the best price I could find with shipping. So for the level A, this is great for, like I said, my daughter's just learning her letters. She can write all her letters, but is still working on the letter to sound correspondence. And so these have the opportunity, it just starts off, it gives them the chance to practice writing a couple letters, and then they have a word and they can trace over top of it as they sound out each letter sound, and then they can write it underneath. And so that's how it starts off. And then it does move into, and this might not blow you away, but it does move into just kind of a blank page where you would dictate the words to them, and then they just fill in the letters. And so why would you do that? Are you really worried? Am I really worried about my 5-year-old spelling? No, but it's a great way for her to practice writing and those sounds of letters and how they blend together to make words. And yes, I could just dictate random words to her, but by having this book, I know that we're going to be more consistent with it because I don't have to think of it. She can turn to the next page, I can open my teacher's manual, and it tells me exactly what words to say. They have it, built in so it repeats, and I don't have to think. And so we will do it more consistently. And it comes with some cute little stickers. So that is the level A, which is, like I said, pretty basic, but I know it'll help me with my consistency. So while the level A only comes with the teacher guide and one book, the other levels come with 2 books. And I want to be perfectly honest right off the bat here to say that we just did one of the 2 books, and we are going to do the second book next year. We do a lot of other things, and it seemed to me that was a good balance of copywork and dictation without it being something that my kids didn't like to do. So as it was, they didn't mind it. In fact, they kind of liked it, and it wasn't overbearing. So worked well for us to do just one of the books throughout the course of the whole year and continue with the next book in the same level the following year. So we'll just continue with the same level, but the next book. So for level B, and this is book 1 or part 1, as you can see, they're all kind of nursery rhymes. If you have a son who is really against maybe nursery rhymes, then maybe it isn't a good fit for him. My son is sandwiched right in between 2 sisters, so he was fine. It didn't bother him. So it's set up for a 5-day week, and it gives you the whole passage, in this level, the rhyme that they're going to be doing. So it gives you that, and then they copy, just about that much of it each day. So that would be day A so it's week 8, day 1 is A, and then they will have a list of words that they would, that you dictate them, and it goes through E. So then that was, day D, and then those were the list of words that I dictated to him. They started off, pretty simple, and then as we progressed through the book, it added in blends, the TH, ING, UNG, INK, things like that. So I was really, really pleased with it. But in book 1 of level B, it is just word dictation, and then they work on different spelling patterns. So that was really good. If it was a shorter nursery rhyme that they were doing that week, then sometimes they would repeat the copywork, and they'd end up copying the same thing. So typically we did skip that. We didn't need that extra day of repetition, but yeah, so they copy it, and then in level B, then you every day have word dictation, and that took no more than 5 to 10 minutes. They say it shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. If it's taking more than 10 minutes, it's too hard for your child. So that was part 1. And then in level B, part 2, it's the same thing in the sense that there is like a nursery rhyme. So they read it. You can see that there's more copy work, and then they also start highlighting. So for example, here they're focusing on consonant chunks. So within this, then they highlight, they do their copy work for day 1, 2, and then 3. Day 4, they have kind of like a free day, be creative. We will probably just skip that day because we normally only school 4 days a week. So the creative day will probably just skip, or he can practice any words he needs extra practice with on that day. And then the last day in level B is dictation, and now they're moving to actually the full sentence dictation, not just the words. So then this would be the dictation. You can see that they give them the first word on every line, and then I will read it, we will go for 10 minutes, and whether we get through the full passage or not, we'll stop. That will be enough. And then throughout the week, if there's any words that I know he's going to struggle spelling, we will practice those. He can write them out, or there's an app we use called Word Wizard, and you can build in your own spelling word lists, and then the kids kind of have their little letter tiles, and they can manipulate those to spell the words, and it's something they can do independently. So that's a good way for them to practice any words that I know that they're going to struggle with when it comes time for dictation. Moving on to level D, which my daughter did Now these do not, I should say, these do not correspond with grades. So you can go on and they have placement tests online, and I think those are really worthwhile. And then you also have to know your kid. So my daughter is a perfectionist to the extreme. So I chose to go with a level that was on the easier side for her, but then therefore when she went and did her dictation, she was able to do it perfectly. I mean, honestly, she would miss maybe a word, and that worked really well for her. If it was a harder passage where she was missing more words, that would have been really discouraging for her. But you know your child, and so pick a level that they're going to be comfortable and successful in. But keeping it on the easier end for my child was a really good decision. So she did the level D, and both book 1 and book 2 are the same. So I'm just going to show you book 2, and the structure is the same all the way throughout. So for each week there's work for 5 days, and so on day A, they read the passage and then they copy half of it. So you can see, like, from B, there's of course a level C, but from B to D there's a big jump in what they're doing. So they copy the passage on day 1, the first half. They copy the second half on day 2, and then on day 3 they have the opportunity to copy the first half again. We always just skip day 3, and then I had her on that day work on any words she would need to practice, knowing that dictation was coming up. And so then in this level they do dictation on 2 days. So day 4, you cover this up, and then they do dictation on day 4, and then again on day 5, cover it up. You'll notice here too that there's, kind of a thing that they're supposed to be focusing on as they read the passage, and then they go through and highlight that. And different weeks there's different amount of highlighting and different areas that they're supposed to focus on. So for example, in this week, there was a lot more things they were supposed to look for and highlight. So doing dictation 2 times, I was a little bit unsure about that. I was like, do we really need to do it twice? Let me tell you, yes, you want to do it both days. The improvement in speed and how quickly they were able to do it, and just kind of really putting those language and sentence and word patterns into their mind was really powerful doing it 2 days. So I would recommend, yes, do dictation both times, unless, your child it was so easy for them. So I think doing it like that worked really well. And like I said, we just did book 1, and that was 18 passages. So we did 18 copywork passages, and then 18 dictation times 2. So in my mind, that's a lot of copywork and dictation. Not too much, but that was the most passages we've ever done for dictation in 1 year. So I was really pleased with my kids' progress and with the program as a whole. I wanted to just touch on too, what would be the benefit of the Spelling UC kind of program versus your traditional spelling program, where you have a list of, anywhere from 10 to 20 words, and you work on those words and then have a spelling test at the end. So kind of, Spelling UC versus a more traditional program. And what I've seen and research is showing is that when children learn words out of context, they can maybe memorize the rule, they can memorize the words, and they can score high on their spelling test. But then the next week, when you have a new list of words, the words that they learned the week before or 2 weeks before are often gone. They didn't stick because these words were taken out of context. So in my mind, and in a lot of research that's been done, it is more powerful to learn spelling within the context of a passage, and it helps kind of imprint in their brains better. And also, I think the other benefit is too, it's fine to learn, words with strange spelling patterns or groups of words, but it's really important, when they're in the later elementary years in particular, that they know how to spell the common words correctly. I want them to spell because and it's, either with an apostrophe or without an apostrophe. I want them to be able to do those high frequency words that often have very strange spelling patterns. I want my kids to be able to do those words correctly and consistently. So the benefit of doing it, kind of as copy work and then as dictation is they see the words in context, and it does seem to stick better in my mind. For my daughter who used the D level in particular, what she would do is on the very first day, so she would do, which is the day A, she would read the passage, and then she would highlight whatever patterns they were looking for on that particular day or week. And then I would also have her go through and underline or circle any words that she knew she was going to struggle with when it came to dictation. So, for example, if she wasn't sure how to spell presidents, and that was one of the words for dictation that week, or whatever the word may have been, I would just have her go through and underline them, and then she had a separate little spiral notebook. She would just copy them out, and then she would refer to those throughout the week. Either she would copy them out a couple times, she could write them out on a whiteboard. We used the app Word Wizard, like I mentioned, and so I could enter the list into there and it would test her that way. Whatever it was, and I kind of gave her a little bit of freedom with that because I wanted her to take some ownership of it. So I would have her practice them and say, okay, are you confident? Are you feeling good for dictation? And kind of put it on her shoulders. And she did. She would work on them, and then she did very well in the dictations. And I really noticed that it did transfer to her writing as the year progressed. More and more I saw her, she'd spell something. I was like, how did you know how to spell that? She's like, oh, it was, one of the words we worked on in our copy work. So I was really pleased about that. Overall, I couldn't be happier with Spelling UC. I like that my kids can be so independent with it, and it doesn't take me very long to do their dictation. We're talking anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, so that is a very reasonable mom time commitment. And by having everything laid out so nicely for me, we did more copy work and more dictation than we've ever done before, because I could say, go get out your book and go start on that. And it was something they could do without me. And the other thing is too, in the early levels, I really like that when the kids are doing their copy work, that they're writing right underneath it. I think in the earlier grades, it's important they're not having to transfer from one page to another page. I think it's great that they can write directly underneath whatever it is they're copying. So I give the program Spelling UC 2 thumbs up. I think it's great, and I hope that this kind of gave you an idea how it worked for us, and maybe it will be a good fit for you and your kids. So happy homeschooling. Bye-bye.